Welcome to Sisterhood Check-in. I am your host and author and coach, Nadira Lewis, and it is Friday. Woo! I am excited because today is going to be a very special broadcast. I have one of my dear friends that I've known since high school, and I cannot wait to dialogue with her today. And before I bring her on, I just wanted to do some housekeeping stuff. If you are watching us via YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button so that you can be notified every time we upload a new video. If you are watching us via Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, make sure you hit like and share if you are blessed by the content that you will be hearing today. All right, guys, you know how we do. Before we actually start, I'm going to go ahead and play this video, but I want to just say to you, make sure you call up your girlfriends, call up your sisters and tell them Sisterhood Check-in is on the air. I am excited. I cannot wait. I want you guys to just dialogue with us, put it in the chat and let us know where you're watching from. And if you watch us each and every Friday, make sure you put in the comments and let us know how much Sisterhood Check-in has helped you since we've been on the air. All right. Well, I'll see you in a few minutes. I'll go ahead and play this video. And after that, I'll have my guest, Rita Nelson-Harden, right alongside of me. We'll be right back after this.
Sometimes it's not enough to be reminded that Jesus hasn't left you or forgotten you. We need to declare it over ourselves, over others. No matter the season you may find yourself in, no matter the depths of darkness you're wading through, you can join him in declaring the truth that God is light upon your feet, whether or not you can see the next step, that God is your strength, even though the weight of life seems to be crushing you down. And that when your job, your marriage, your relationship, your health feels like it's coming to a dead end, there is only one God that can make dead things live again. These are his promises, and they're the only thing you need to declare over your life. So as you step into this next season or this next moment, you can declare that God's not done with you. He's just getting started. You can declare that the good work that he has started in you, he will surely complete it. You can declare that the same God that parted the seas goes before you, goes behind you. You can declare these promises over your life, over your family's life, over the people passing on the street. You can declare these truths over every circumstance, over every season of your life. You can declare that every day belongs to him and every new breath belongs to him. Because we have the power of a living God living inside of us. And this is our declaration.
And we are back here with Sisterhood Check-in with my special guest, Rita Nelson-Harden. But before I introduce her, it was taking everything on the inside of me not to burst into tears as I was listening to the commercial, the promo video. And I just want to let anybody that's watching know that your story doesn't end because you have one bad chapter. That God is an ever-present help. And he's always there with you, praying for you, interceding for you. And I'm here also praying and interceding with you also. I just wanted to kind of just share that because I know that somebody may be watching and you might be at your last wits. You might feel like I have gone as far as I can go. But with my guest tonight, Rita, she's going to share with us how she would not give up. Would you guys give a warm welcome to my special guest, Rita Nelson-Harden? Woo! Welcome to Sisterhood Check-in. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Oh, I'm elated. Like, I'm nervous, excited. It doesn't matter how many times I do this, there is still an enormous amount of anxiety,
Of course.
excitement,
Yeah.
all at the same time, because I don't take it for granted the things that I get to be before this many people, and being able to share my testimonial and be alongside of somebody like you who have also gone through some things and is eager to share with my audience some of the wonderful things that God has shared and done for you. So Rita, help my audience understand. I may have known you from high school, but a lot of people that are watching may not know you. So help us understand who Rita Nelson-Harden really is.
Okay. And that should be very easy. Rita Nelson-Harden is a 48-year-old mom by way of having two granddaughters, married for 21 years. And I've been through some things. I've been through some things. No one would ever know unless you know me personally. I've been through some things, but guess what? God chose me. He chose me. And by way of choosing me, I get to help people with the things that I actually had to fight through. Have you ever had a situation where, you just want the best for everybody and
Mm,
especially your children?
mhm,
And for some reason, parenting, sorry guys, parenting just, parenting didn't come with instructions.
mm.
You
Tell
do
me
your best. You do your best. You know, Anybody with daughters out there? Are y'all all right? Are y'all okay? Okay. I just have to ask. Just children
Yeah.
alone, just family members alone. You want the
Mhm.
best for everyone. But sometimes,
Right.
things happen. Things happen along the way. And it's not, what happened to you, it's how you handle it. But I just want
Mm.
to encourage you to stay strong. Trouble
Yeah,
don't
it's funny. It's funny that I say that in my book, that there are two things that life boils down to: two things: perspective and response. How you view things that happen to you and how you respond to things that happen to you really allows you to see where you really are, because we can tell people, hey, I can make it through anything, I can get through it, and our circumstances will show us who we are, not for a bad thing, but for us to be able to see exactly where we stand, if we are as strong as we really say we are. And you've had some things that has happened to you in your life as parenting, which, whoo child, I know all too well with. It's something. Here's the crazy part: it's not even when they're very small that you have most of your issues. It's when they become late age teenagers into young adulthood that you literally have to find out and realize all those things that your mama used to say to you, and used to always get upset at you about. You'd be like, oh gosh, mama, I sometimes I want to call up my mom and be like, oh, mom, I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't realize that raising teenagers and raising, boys, you have a different problem. But those
right.
girls, ooh, you have to ask the Lord for some prayer. You have
Yes.
to ask God to really, and you really show forth your real parenting at that time when you go through that, because you
Hmm.
don't know how you're going to handle a situation until you're actually in it.
Right. Right. So it's easy for anyone to, on the outside to
Mm-hmm.
say, well, you better than me, or that wouldn't be me. Of course, it's
Mm,
not you. Of course, it wouldn't be you, because guess who it is? It's me. And I feel like
mm,
this. I hear a lot of parents say, well, my child is 18. I'm done. Do you know that you really need to be at that point getting started with your child? Because they'll
mhm.
need you for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
So that little I'm 8, they 18, I'm done with them.
Mm-mm.
That don't work for me. Like you said, we had some trouble along the way, and I like to be transparent about it
Yeah.
because me going through that and going through my struggle with it is not in vain. And
So
the
talk
reason
to
why
us
it's
about
not
some
in
of the, I'm sorry, there
vain,
was a little bit of delay. Talk to us about some of those struggles that you've had to go through.
okay, well, not knowing how to communicate with someone that don't see who you are.
Mm.
You know, you've been a mom, and I say this, you can do your best. That's my thing. I'm not gonna say I've been the best mom ever. And you don't know if you've been the best mom ever. You just know that you've done your best.
Right.
But for some reason, your child may not receive you.
Mm.
Your child may not receive you. And you're just not understanding because sometimes you have parents that have, geared towards doing drugs,
Mhm.
drinking, you know,
Mhm.
a whole different life. When you felt that you were a model to your child, meaning you've never left their side, you've always
Mhm.
made sure they had food, a roof over their head, you was at the school meetings, you did everything possible you can do to be the best parent
Mhm.
you can be. But for some odd reason, as they grow older, this personality jumps in. And you know what I think? And like I tell my, I still talk to my daughters. You have to be careful who you intertwine with because
Mhm.
everybody's spirits are not meant to intertwine. And
Mm.
it's very, very serious. You be careful about who you link up with. Meaning like lie down, give yourself to,
Mhm.
you
Absolutely.
know, it doesn't work, and I feel like that happened. I feel like that happened because, like I said, I've done my best, and I'm still pounding. I'm still pounding. I'm never going to give up until God take all the breath out of me. Never,
Mm.
never. But
It takes an incredible amount of strength to it takes an incredible amount of strength. I think the way we were raised, and when I look at how when we grew up, I look back and I realize, boy, we had to be a certain type of group to handle the children in this day and time, the young adults that are in this day and time, because I don't think our parents would have been able to deal with the kids now at their age because they would have been done killed them.
all day
They would have
long.
been they would have
All
been they would have killed them. I think we have come in with because I think each generation goes through enough and probably a good bit of some of what they go through. So when they get to that point, we're able to identify where they are. Our parents, if my mom had to raise my daughter at the time that I had that extreme hardship, she would have
right,
killed her. She would have
right,
killed her. She wouldn't even
right.
be here.
Because I'm gonna tell you right now, my mom did not play. My mom did not
Yeah.
play. And and that's
Mhm.
why I cherish the ground my parents walk on.
Mhm.
They did not play with us. Now our children,
Mhm.
our children have so much social media.
Mhm.
The social media is really, it's a good thing and it could be a bad thing. But for our
Yeah.
youth, I think it's destroying them.
Yeah.
They have access to too much.
Too
We
soon. Too much
we
too soon.
we give them too much because we're trying
Mhm.
to, make sure that our child can keep up with this child and this child.
Yep.
We go wrong
Yep.
doing that.
Yep.
We go
Yep.
wrong trying to make sure they have everything when all
Mm.
they need is what they need. And then
Right.
they feel entitled.
Right.
Like you're
Right.
supposed to do this. You have to do this. You know, it's a different time. It's a different time. And we are losing our kids.
Yeah,
We are
because a lot of the wisdom I realized that we learned in
Mhm.
our life had I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, And it's funny because, like I was, like you and I were talking, I was saying it's amazing that when, as I was talking, and it's like something just came up, and I said, wow, the way we gained our wisdom back then, is we had to, sometimes when mom said no, that was like, that shaped our ability to be patient when we were old enough to get it ourselves. And it's nothing wrong with giving your children things. And most of the time when we're doing it, we're trying to prevent our children from having to go through the same mind frames. But one thing I want to mention is that while you're giving your children, make sure you understand, make sure that you teach, that you, some things they can't learn until they know what it's like. I tell my daughter all the time, I told my mother was laughing because I was giving her allowance. I said, look, you got to do this and you got to do this, and you get $5. And she's like, $5? What's she gonna do with $5? I said, because she needs to understand the value of money before I start sticking $20 and $30 in her hand when she hasn't even understood how to deal with $5 first. So what I'm saying is that sometimes in our right heart as parents, because we look at when we grew up, we didn't have certain things. So we, a lot of us was like, when we get older, we're going to make sure our child never has to go through lack. But there is a flip side of that, because even though we may have lacked some things back then, what we didn't lack is common sense. What we didn't lack is wisdom, because we didn't have everything so readily available to us. We had to work for what we wanted to get. We had to work. And I told my son this, work is not really bad, because work helps you to build different things like discipline in your time. When you working on a job, it's teaching you how to be disciplined, how to show up on time, how to be considerate, how to do teamwork. So if you think you're just going to grow up and just grow into entrepreneurship, and not have to deal with the free version, I should say, or you getting paid to learn these skills, because you got people having to learn these skills without a job. They're having to learn it because they have to get out there and hustle. But some people are working and getting paid to learn disciplines. And so we have to make sure that we are not only just trying to just make sure that they don't lack in area of finances, but we got to make sure they ain't lacking in character, that they're not lacking in integrity, and that they're not lacking in being respectful.
That's it. Let me tell you something about the respect part. That part has been lost. Like back in the day.
I agree.
You cursing in front of a grown-up? Are you kidding me?
Boy, are you kidding me? Knock your mouth off.
It's like like right now, the entitlement is high. The disrespect is even higher. The family values, where are they? They non-existent. And the one of the main things I know that our youth is suffering from, they have no fear. They absolutely have no fear.
That's scary.
None. And because they don't have any fear, that's why we're losing a lot of them. They don't think. They just do.
Right.
You said this to me. Now I'm going to do something about it. I told this young lady yesterday. She told me, well, they're not going to say nothing to me and get away with it. They're not going to say this and do this and that. I said, so what's going to happen when they say that to you? Or they say something you don't like, or they disrespect you? Oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I said, so you're going to put your hands on them? Yeah. Oh, they don't want no smoke. They don't want that. Okay. Guess what? You putting your hands on that person was a waste of your time, because the words are already what? Said. You can't push them back down their throat. The words are already said.
Yeah.
So, that's a big problem. You telling me what you're going to do because somebody said something. And that goes to, that in my situation, it was a lot of that. Oh, it was a lot of that.
Talk to us about what you experienced in the area when you said there was a lot of that. Tell those that are listening that may not know what that you're referring to. What do you mean that you had a lot of that?
Mouth,
Mm,
disrespect,
mm,
disrespect, no boundaries,
mm.
lost. You're my mom? No, you're not. I don't, you're not my mom. What? Boundaries was lost. Names were called. Feelings was hurt. Hands were thrown. Oh, it went, it was a lot. It was a
Mm-hmm.
lot, you know? And to this day, of course that hurt. Who wants that?
Right, right, right,
It hurts you to your core. But you got to
right.
think, you have to keep pushing. I'm in my
Mm-hmm.
right mind as I see fit. Something else is wrong. It can't be me. So you ask, what did I do to deserve this? What did I do to deserve this? I've been good to you. I've given you all of me. I've given you everything. What did I do to deserve this? It hurts. It completely hurts. It make you feel useless. It make you feel like you failed as a parent.
Mm, yeah.
It makes you look to people, you may look weak. But let me tell you something. I just want everybody to know this soldier sitting right here, hey, there's nothing weak about me.
Mm.
Nothing.
I just love the bounce back. I mean the bounce back just like I love it's like you do that squat and you come back up like, yeah, like I love that. Not a lot of people have that. There's something that's internal that causes you to bounce back, because for what some of the things that you have gone through, a lot of parents don't have the ability to bounce back. Sometimes some parents do wind up, either taking either being taken to jail or taking taking things to the extreme, and to be able to deal with the pressure and the frustration. But there's something about you that just, even in the midst of you squat and you like, yeah, I've gotten low, but you bounce right back. What is that on the inside that causes you to feel like I can get through this?
Nadira, it's none of me.
Mm,
It's none of me. It's all
mm,
him. Because
mm,
when I tell you, when something happened, the mom in me always
mm,
supersedes anything. The mom
mm,
in me
mm,
takes over. People be like, I would have did this and I would have did that. Well,
mm.
that's why you're you. That's why I'm me.
Yes,
Because
and you don't know what you're gonna deal with when you and until you in that situation. You can say, "Oh, I would do this," and I if it was me, but you don't know what you are going to do and how you are going to respond,
you don't.
baby, until you are
It,
face to face. I had a situation where my son actually stood up. He's 6 feet tall, right?
mm,
Stood up in my face. I was having some issues with my heart, and I was feeling like I needed to get it checked out. I was just feeling like something was wrong. And really what happened was, and this is like totally left field, but it's totally relative. I had literally I was dating somebody and they literally broke my heart. And I literally I felt my heart skip a beat, like literally.
mm,
And I said, "Oh my God, I think I got to go to the hospital because something physically happened in my heart. I felt it."
mm, mm-hmm.
And I thought, this cannot be real. Like this cannot be real. I literally felt something was wrong. I needed to go to the emergency room, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I went to the emergency room and they say, look, we got to come in. You got to do an EKG. I was like, something's wrong. Something, I don't know what it is. I don't know how to pull it. Something's wrong. So I went to my son and I
Mm-hmm.
said, hey, I need you to watch the girls while I go get the checkout. And he was in a very um, period in his life where he was depressed. He was like, he was like literally just in the garage with a blanket over his head. Like he didn't want to talk to nobody. It was like really crazy. And so he stood up and was like, they're not my responsibility. Now, let me tell you something. My children have never, as long as they have breath in their body, maybe my daughter tried a couple times, to say what they're not going to do. And every chance, I don't think I think the mom triggered the Shirley Chambers inside of me, which is my mother, where I wanted to bust them up, where I literally, because my sons are tall, I had to stand up on a chair. I told him, I said, get out my house, which was the hardest thing to do, was to make him leave. And I
Right.
said, I didn't even argue with him. I said, get out of my house. Well, mom, what? I don't, you got to go. And you got to go for two reasons. You got to go because I don't tolerate disrespect. And you got to go because I have other kids that are here that if
That's
they see me even tolerate the disrespect, that will open the door for them to say, well, I can do it too. So you got to go.
Mm-hmm.
That was the hardest, Rita. When I tell you, my heart was just like, oh my God, I wanted to go and say, wait a minute. But I knew the mother inside of me, and I kept thinking about the fact that I've got to think, I got to get out of my feelings. I'm
Right.
teaching. This is a teachable moment. The
Yeah.
next day, my other son brought him back. He said, Mom, I was so wrong. I'm so sorry. I said, that's good. That's great. But you can't come back. That's great. That's
That's
great that
one
you apologize, but
that
you cannot come back because I have to set the example that what you did is forgivable, but I can never let you get comfortable. And he said, you know what, Mom? I understand that. And he got out there, and guess what it did? It made him get out there and do what he had to do. He went to stay with my son, and my son kind of groomed him and helped him do what he got to do.
right.
And there's times he went through different things. And I'm like, okay, at this time, once, a couple of years went by, I was like, if it gets tough, you can come back home. But at that season, I had to stand my ground and say, I will not tolerate. I will not, even as a single mom, I will not tolerate disrespect. And so it's like, when I thought about that, I'm like, I would have never, I remember I fixed my mouth one time to say something to my mother. I don't even think I got the words out because I was on the floor. She smacked the crap out of me,
Boom.
and like, I
Stupid.
don't even remember. She smacked me so hard, and my mother heavy handed. My mother smacked me because that was me. I was mouth girl. I just that you see why I'm doing what I'm doing. I was just doing my calling a little early, a little early.
Right. Right.
But baby, let
You
me
ain't
tell
know
you,
what
when
your gift was. You ain't know.
I know what that was. I was walking in my calling early. I was trying to stand up, and speak my mind. And my mouth was I was on the floor, knocked out on the floor. And I realized there's no way in the world that I would have talked like that to my mother.
No,
I
we
wouldn't
was
have
too
even,
scared.
I wouldn't have done that. I would have been too scared.
We were too scared. But look, that's what, that's one thing, I had to do that. Like, it was the most, like, sick. I was so sick to my stomach. You it was like one of the worst feelings in the world. Who want to not be able to finish raising their children?
Of
You know,
course. Of
you don't
course.
preach to raise them. Me having girls, I don't need no dude to raise them. Let me finish raising you. There's so many things I still have to teach you. There's so many things that you need to learn. Let your
Mm,
mother and your father continue to raise you. But some little
mm,
girls, for some reason, once they get that one boy, all right, now I'm gonna let this boy raise me.
mm. And
That's
it was
what.
hard, and it's like, and I know you've experienced this because I had to raise my children with a new husband.
Mm,
And so I had to go through so much when my first year of marriage to my second husband was like hell. Like literally.
Let's talk
My
about
kid, my daughter, let me tell you, my daughter and my sons were kind of like, we just glad that we can have somebody else to talk to besides you, mom, because we get tired. We get tired of talking like talking to you all the time. We want to talk to some men. So
yeah.
my sons were like really elated, to really talk to I really believe that God really sent my husband because he was able to embrace my daughter in her transformation to adulthood is the way I want to put it.
Wait, let's talk.
You know.
Let's scoot back to that
Yeah.
because I know that story. You know, oh, that's not. You know that was a part of a lot of disrespect. You know,
Mhm. Mhm.
some children may not accept the new person in your life.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I did my research. I felt that this was a good person for me and my daughter.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, and it proves it because we're still married to this day.
Mm.
How many years? 21. 21 years.
Mm.
Okay. So I obviously knew what I was doing, but that blending a family could play a big part in a child's life. And I
Yeah.
was told
Yeah.
that I shouldn't have gotten married because my daughter didn't like him. So
Wow.
when do my daughter run, your children run, who you get involved with? Now, if it
Mm.
was a toxic situation, I understand that.
Yeah.
But me being the person that I am, I knew the person that I let in me and my child's life was good for us.
Mm.
Was good for us. And the disrespect never stopped. It never stopped.
Mm.
And it's like, what else could we offer you? Of
Yeah.
course, no, this is not your biological father, but this is your bonus dad. You just don't know how blessed you are to have a bonus dad and a biological father because both are in your life.
That's amazing.
Both are in your life. You're not missing out. You gained.
Yeah.
You gained.
I think, I was reading a book when I got divorced the first time. It was called Helping Children Through Divorce. And because my first marriage was so toxic that even though my desire to maintain the family because of not wanting to be another statistic, and having 4 children at the time, I didn't want to be that woman that be like, oh, here you are, another statistic, raising kids on your own. And what I realized is that God literally, I had to be very specific on who I allowed in my life because I knew the kind of way how I was raising them. I was raising them in God, and I knew that I couldn't just have anybody come in and be the leader of my home, and then they come in. So our chaos was too not really. He was treating us right. Actually, he was more present because their dad was in jail, you
Mhm,
know. And
mhm,
so he was serving an 8-year prison sentence for domestic violence towards me. And so they had the opportunity, they were dealing with the not having their dad who was always around. And then I was single for 7 years.
mhm.
And so it was just me and them. But
Right.
I knew that after 7 years, it was going to take some time for them to transition
Mhm,
into knowing, even though they my husband was a part of the same Bible study. He was a minister, part of the same Bible study group that we were in, but that wasn't enough for them. It was like, you moving in here? I remember my daughter said to me one time, why does he got to live here? Why can't he just live in his own house? Why can't y'all be married and live it? He stay where he at and you stay where you at. And
right.
I was like, and I had to do a lot of explaining alone and with my husband at the time. And we would talk to them, and still they were just going through the transitions because guess what? When we move on, the children don't move on right away. It takes them time to move on. And sometimes they don't ever get the move on. Sometimes for some of them, it's a constant battle
Yeah.
because it was there. They don't understand breakup. They just know that I have mom and dad, and that's all. I don't want to have another person in my life. And
Right.
so I went through that struggle for like a year. I was even pregnant. I got pregnant from my new husband, and I had a miscarriage because of the stress of trying to. And it's funny because you gotta do it with a certain mindset.
Right.
Like parents, people were telling me, girl, she 18. if I was you, I would just put her behind her. I wouldn't have to deal with all that. But
Mhm.
I knew that, like you said, because she's 18, she still needed to be raised.
Right.
And she, just because she was 18 didn't mean she knew how to live life as a young adult. And the hardest thing, Rita, I had to do is to kick my daughter out of my house. I cried, and my husband said, you got to trust God. I don't think I ever begged for so much prayer from people like I did that time, because she had went through this emotional, like, and I remember saying, "Oh my God, if something happens to my daughter, I'm going to deal with the regret." But I had to stand my ground. And I had people that were there to support me and say, "Hey, we got her. We're going to make sure she's good. And we're
Mhm.
going to support you in your decision," because they
Right.
knew what, and it's important to have people around you that are
Right.
supporting you.
Support.
We
Yeah.
think supporting parents, we think supporting other parents is about us pretty much just, giving them clothes. And yeah, that's good. That's a part of it. But we need that when I say we need support, we need a village of people saying, "Hey, you need to go back and obey your parents. You need to go apologize to your mother. You need to go
Right.
do exactly what your mother tell you to do. No, you can't come here. No, you can't do this." And when you got enough parents that are supporting you doing that, man, see, we don't have that now.
No,
Nowadays,
because everybody's so afraid to have somebody say something to their child, or we gonna
mhm,
fight. You know,
mm,
no. Let me know
different
what my
generation. Yes.
let me know what's
Yes.
going on. I don't have eyes everywhere. Although you tell your children I got eyes everywhere, we know we don't. They
They
believe
not
that when
supposed
they
to.
little.
It might be some
You
little kids listening and might be thinking that they
know?
yeah, we do. We got eyes behind our we got eyes behind
We
our
do.
head.
They're back there. But it's like, what, and sometimes, like I said, sometimes your child won't receive you. They may receive someone else. You know,
Right.
and
Right.
and I'm not going to say, like I said, I'm not going to say I was perfect, because I do
Mhm.
realize that sometimes when you're trying to chastise your child, you kind of
Mhm.
criticize them.
Right.
You have to be careful when you talking to them, because emotionally
Mhm.
they may internalize the
Mhm.
critique. Like
Yes.
I used to, and I'm not gonna lie, I used to be like, that sounds dumb. I was legendary for saying that sounds dumb. So it kind of stuck, you know, with my daughter, because I always use the dumb word. You know,
Mm.
so I to this day understand why sometimes she may not take critique from me properly, because
Yeah.
I criticized her versus her
Mm.
understanding that I was trying to make her visually see stuff. And we
Right.
also have to understand, like, our children, like, I'm so sorry. My my little kickstand broke.
Oh, it's fine.
So what we also have to understand is, when people say words don't hurt, they do.
They
They can
do.
sit in they can sit in you for a lifetime, you know.
Mm.
And you
For a
thinking,
lifetime.
it can sit in you for a lifetime, but like us, I'm gonna say like the 70s baby. Shh,
Mhm.
us. We can take critique from my parents.
Yeah.
Our babies now, you have to
Right.
be very careful
Right.
how
Right.
you speak to them, what you say to them, and how you
Right.
say. We feel like we
Absolutely.
the mom. We can say anything to our
Mhm.
kids, and they just need to listen. Doesn't work that way
Mhm.
with with
Right.
with our kids now. You know,
Right.
and I realize that, even with my grandkids, especially little girls, they're so sensitive. You have to be very
Mm.
careful. They're so sensitive. You know, could you?
Yeah.
It's throwing me off. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. You have to be very careful with them. And that's what me still trying to
Mhm.
teach my daughter to teach her daughter. You know,
Right.
because she learned so harshly, and I'm like, what? Like, no, you know, do it this way. Now the grandma in me needs you to change how you talking to them, because now I kind of see me. You
Mm.
know, I kind of see me.
Wow.
You know,
Mm.
so sometimes you get that aha moment,
That's good.
like what happened to us.
Mm.
I'm not going to take full responsibility for everything, but I can realize in today my part in the dysfunction. My part
Wow.
in dysfunction. It still does not. It still does not mean
Wow.
you are allowed to be disrespectful,
Right.
because there's no excuse for that.
Mm.
None.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like when you tell your child something when they 5, you tell them when they 25, you still expect them to respect you the same way.
Mm.
And sometimes when
Wow.
your children get older, they feel like, well, I'm grown now. Okay. We'll never be equal because I'm going to always be your
Mm.
mother. So we will
Always.
never be equal. So the same respect that you had when you were younger, I'd still demand that.
Mm.
Now, the women nowadays, they are lost because they want to fight. They want to
Oh yeah.
back with you. You know, my daughter once told me we are equal because we both work and we both have kids. I said, where they do that at? No, no, we're not equal. I'm
Oh
not equal to
gosh.
my mother. My mother is my queen.
That's
We're not.
that's so true. I watched my mother a couple of months ago. It was so funny. My
Mhm,
brother is I'm 48, I'll be 49 in 2 weeks, and my brother is 46. So we was in the house, and so my brother started talking. My mother, because sometimes she pull out these crazy things to do what like really late at night when I go visit her. And it's like I'm not in my 20s. Like I'm not like super. I'm like, I put down the cape. I put down the superwoman cape. Like I can't do it. I can't lift the furniture. I'm sorry.
mhm,
So
mhm,
she had my brother. She was yelling because my mother, when she wants stuff done, she wanted
mhm.
done now, and she wanted done a specific way. So we looking at this heavy behind dress, and we know she don't think we gonna carry that dresser down the steps into the garbage. There's a heavy armoire. So my brother started complaining and started to talk, and he raised his voice because he always thought, because he was the man of the house, he always thought he could raise his voice. He said, and my mother, disabled. So he said, I'm not finna move on. You always got us move. And my mother sat back. She said, let me tell you, she got into that mother mode.
Mhm.
We all threw our hands up. Like once she threw out the mother card, there was nothing we could say. She said, I will get up out this chair and I will smack you in the mouth if you ever talk to me like that again. And I
Mhm.
remember standing there like, oh, she was like, and he all he did was he put his head down. He walked up out the house because it's something about the authority that we have as a parent. You right. We are never equal because the authority and that God has given me to parent you. And when you become a young adult, we're still parenting you from a different level, a different
Right.
perspective.
It's never.
So you don't even I'm 48. My mother still call me and be like, what time you in the house? Like what time? Like, I'm like, Mom, I'm like, I'm for real grown. Like, I'm like for real grown. Like I got a whole, I got a whole house and I'm running over here. Like I got kids over here. I'm like for real grown. And
And
she
that's
still
fine.
say, nope, uh-uh.
That's fine. You could be grown till the cows come home. But what I said was
Mm.
that doesn't matter.
Once they pull out that
Listen
cord,
to
that's it.
the boundaries of our young ladies now are lost.
Yeah.
They are completely lost. Like they
Yeah.
don't even check on their grandparents. We
Right.
we stayed with, we checked on our grandparents. We checked on our mother
Mm-hmm.
and father.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, it's all about them. They live in such a me world.
Right.
They don't know how to apologize.
Right.
You're the
Right.
problem and you're wrong because I did something wrong and you reacted.
Right.
Mhm,
Right.
mhm.
That is so true.
Yeah, you're wrong for reacting for what I did and what I said.
Mm.
Okay, okay.
Wow. It is
It's
so true. That
they
is
don't
the
take
more I think about it, I'm
responsibility.
like, dang, that is so true. Like it's funny because it's like you almost have to fight for the respect,
Mhm,
that you rightly deserve. And there are some parents that are out here doing everything that they can. They're working hard, they're raising their children, they're showing up.
mhm,
There's not
mhm.
there are a lot of parents that are present, what I'm saying? And there's some parents, there's a part of you that be like, okay, maybe they respond to the like this because maybe one parent or maybe the parents aren't there. But there are a lot of parents who are present and they are doing everything that they can. And it's just like you said, it's the environment.
Yeah.
They're going to school and they learning stuff that you hadn't even had a chance to even expose them to, because you as a parent are deciding to make for your own choice. Okay, I don't want to expose my child to that this early. They go to school, somebody else expose it to. It's almost like you're forced to have those conversations ahead of time. Like, we didn't have birds and bees talk until like we was like what, 12, 13, 14.
We sure
and
did.
and now you almost got to have the birds and bees talk
At 5.
at 5, because they are learning stuff at 5 years old. Like, my daughter said something to me and I was like, say what? And she was like, yeah. And I'm like, I wasn't ready for you to learn that yet. Like, I had a set time to
That I was about
teach
to
you
ask
that.
about this. Yeah.
Yeah, but they are learning, and it's almost like, it's almost like, well, maybe I should just homeschool her so I can kind of, navigate how much information she is exposed to before time. Because when they start knowing stuff before their time, then they're not an ability to really understand the effects of what they think they know.
Well, guess what? This is for all the parents that say, I'm going to homeschool my baby to keep them from knowing a lot of stuff. That's a trap. Because what happens in that, with that, when they get out.
Well, I did homeschool. I homeschooled my son, and I homeschooled him in 3rd grade. And I think there's a misconception about homeschooling. People think homeschool means keep them away from everybody and don't get them exposed. Well, homeschooling is a lot different now than it was back then. So when I homeschooled Adam was home doing his work. We had events that we had to go out and mingle with other kids. So he did get the mingle time. He did get the social.
Okay.
But what happened was, during school time, you didn't have and he was even sometimes in homeschool, would be in classes at home with other kids. And so, but what it did was it allowed me to slow down, and give it and be able to teach him. I knew he gonna be exposed to it, because even if he go with these other groups and stuff like that, these kids, they on computers, they know stuff. I mean, there's no way to hide it. But it did give me the opportunity to be able to go through it with him as he was learning it. As I started to see certain things, it was like, okay, this is why we don't do this here at our home. But this parent does this, but they do this. Well, that's them. But here in our home, we don't do that, and this is why we don't do that.
That's a big one right there. That's a big
one.
And
this is why.
That's a big one. That little TikTok?
Oh, God.
We all love TikTok.
Girl, I'll be up all night to like 2.
We can do that. But things that are on TikTok, they make children think they are so believable. Because my granddaughter thinks everything on TikTok is true.
Yep.
She like, that's true. I'm like, no, TikTok is not, a lot of things on TikTok is not real. And that's another thing we have to do. We have to pull them off of social media so much.
Right.
Because sometimes, like, I get, I'm not gonna say that I'm guilty of of it sometimes. Like, here, take this tablet, quiet time.
Yes.
Quiet time. They be all over the internet learning stuff. And then you get your phone, your phone all jacked up, you're locked out, this and that. Because it's like, you don't think they know how to get the stuff, but they know how to get to it. And that is the problem. Children are learning how to commit suicide. It's so much that they learn on social media. And us as parents, back in the day, we didn't have all that. We had our bikes, we had our jump rope, our hula hoop. We was outside playing, smelling like outside. Thirsty, lips all dry, everything. We was outside.
Kids don't want to go outside nowadays. They rather stay in front of their computer or TV. I bought my daughter a phone just to keep up with her because she got lost on the school bus. The teacher put her on the school. The daycare bus usually pick her up, but this particular time, the teacher put her on the bus, and so I lost her for like 30 minutes. I was like freaking out, so I got her a cell phone. This girl is I have to tell her, hey, look. The phone is for emergencies. It's not for you to be lost in the meta world. Not to be lost in the meta world, because you'll be like, did you do your homework? What? Oh, homework. Oh, well, she'll go to sleep. like I'm cooking dinner, I'm feeding her, I'm going upstairs doing stuff, and it's like, oh, I got homework at 9. No, ma'am. No. So now you come home, you put that phone down and you do your homework. You eat, put your homework. And it's like now I had to take it to where like today she couldn't take her phone to school. And I said, son, we have to take a day to unwind. We have to take a day to literally like to disconnect from television, from anything. I don't really watch a lot of TV anyway. I watch a few shows that I like, but my thing is I'm on the internet because I'm always working. I'm work from home.
Right.
But even then, sometimes I have to unwind and say, okay, let me just disconnect for a little while, because you can get consumed for hours.
Hours. But let me tell you something. Let's talk about. I just want to voice something.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Like getting back to being a mom.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get that book. Like, this is what you're supposed to do. This is how you're supposed to do it. You do this at this time.
Right.
Like I said, you do your best.
Right.
But I just want to encourage any mom, dad, aunt that's raising kids for their sister, brother. I just want to encourage you. Please don't give up on them.
Right.
It is a long road for some of them. It is very sad. It's very exhausting. You get tired. You get to a point where it's just like you feel like, I can't do this. But guess what? You can do it.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it. Because I know in all of my days, and I've been going through this since my child has been 16 years of age. I have been in a fight to get my relationship the way it's supposed to be. 16. My child will be 29 this year. And to this day, guess what I'm still doing? I'm still fighting. I'm still fighting. Because I absolutely will not give up.
Right.
When I'm dead and gone, there's nothing else to be said. And this is what I say. Everything that I taught you, everything that I have said to you, whether you use it now or later, it's going to come out my mouth and it's going to go in your ear. I know I said it to you. Whether you was listening to me or you just heard me, I said it. You may not use it now. You may use it later when I'm gone, but I said it to you. And that's the main thing that you have to realize. When people say, oh, I done said this 1 million times, said 2 million. Keep saying it. Well, that's insanity. Right. Okay. You brought these kids here. You had them. You brought them here. You made a commitment. Stick with them. You got parents that their kids are deceased.
Yeah.
Their kids are deceased. They tried their best, though. They tried their best. I'm not giving up. I don't care what nobody say. People try to be funny with you and say, oh, you better than me. You know what I'm going to tell them next time somebody tell me that? In more ways than one. Now eat that.
It's like you got to fight. It's like you got to fight your own discouragement and fight for your children at the same time, because sometimes the devil send people to use people to discourage you while you're standing in the gap and praying, by making you feel like it's hopeless. When the Bible says hope deferred makes the heart sick. If you allow your hope to be deferred, then you will, and people might think, well, hope is like when you think about what hope is. Can you still hear me? Okay, I thought it blanked out for a minute. So hope deferred makes the heart sick. So when you think about hope, it's the ability, it's substance. It's the substance it's something that you stand on, right? It's something that you stand on. So if you stop standing on your belief that I'm gonna have this relationship with my daughter that I desire, when you start to somebody come in and say, hey, If I was you or if that was me, I can't afford to hear what you say. I'm good for shutting people down. I've even had to do it to family members that, I remember one time my aunt, she passed away now, but I remember one time we was at her house not too long ago, and she had mentioned, and back then, our parents said things because they said things because that was just the way they talked. That was the way they
Yeah.
communicated. They communicated, they say things, and they were extra harsh sometimes. And they did sometimes say things because they meant well. They just didn't realize that it was affecting us, right?
Right.
And I heard her say one time to my son, and she said, "You never do anything right." He had did something he did, and she said, "You never do anything right." And I said, I had to step in. I said, no. We don't talk like that at our house. In
Right.
our house, we don't tear. I can't allow anybody else, whether it's family or friends, I can't allow you to tear down, because I saw the discouragement in his face. It hit him in a different place. When he heard that, his face expression was it's like his spirit was like crushed. And I said, no, 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 no. And I looked at him. I said, you may have not done this right, but you can do whatever it is that God tell you to do if you are obedient and if you put all your effort into it. And he just kind of like nodded his head. And she said, "Oh my God, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that." Because when we were younger, we had to take it. If your
Yeah.
mother tell you to shut the F up, you
You
just
gonna shut up.
you just don't get to argue with shut the F up. You don't get to argue with that. You just be like, but when you nowadays, like you said, we dealt with it, but it showed up in other areas of our lives as an
Yeah.
adult of the effect. So we don't know the effect of what people are saying to our children or what we even say to our children until it comes out in other ways.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I said, like when people say it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
It's
It's
how
what you
you
say
say
it,
it.
but it's what you say as well. It's
Mhm.
what you
Mhm.
say as well.
Mhm.
How you say it and what you say. You just have to be very careful and how you're speaking to them, because some kids are very delicate. They are very
Yeah.
emotional. But we
Right.
we hard. We tough as nails.
Right.
Like we expect our children to be as tough as nails as we are, because I'm raising you, I'm building you, so you should be like me.
Right. You
Well, they're
come
not.
from me, so you should be like me. Right.
They're not. They're not. They're not. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't understand why why it's so hard for you. I don't know why this bothers you. Well, everyone is different. Things bother
Mhm.
different people in different
Mhm.
ways. And we have to come to the realization that, and a lot of parents don't understand their children, because you're expecting your child to be like you.
Right.
Doesn't work that way.
And each child is different. With my children, I have with my daughter, my oldest daughter, I have to be a little bit more sensitive when I
Right.
say certain things because she's more emotional.
Emotional.
Where my sons, like Christian and Adam, like I can say things to them and they just like, oh, okay. They just like they walk off like it like nothing happened. But my son Jeremiah and my daughter, um, Preach, they're a little bit more delicate.
Yeah.
You have to really use your words wisely because they're delicate and they will, because I was like that growing up. Like I got my feelings hurt easy. You just say something, you just look at me wrong, and I'm just like I'm crying because I got my feelings hurt. Bella is the same way. Bella, you don't even have to. You just look at her and her feelings get hurt. She just like, well, what? Well, McKinley's more like, I'll make it up. If I didn't do something right, I'll redo it. She's kind
Right.
of, so I've got three of them that are sensitive and three of them that are like, like, oh, okay. Like, all right. I forgot about it like 5 minutes later. So
Yeah.
yes, you do have to realize we're raising people. And when you're raising people, we have to take into account how we say things and what we say and the timing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the timing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I just like, when you going through your times, things are happening, police is being called, hands are getting thrown, curses is flying all around, disrespect is happening, all this trauma,
Mhm.
you know, when you have, when you're trying to do your best. That is the most, like, the pain
Mhm.
in your heart and in your soul that you get,
Mm.
trying to
Yeah.
be trying to be the best, But
Yeah.
because a lot of our young ladies lost, lost with boundaries and feel like,
Mm-hmm.
you can't talk to me like that. I got my own kids and this and that. Well, get in your own house.
Right. Right.
You know,
Right.
how
Right.
and that be the thing, like how you living in a house with me and I can't tell you nothing,
Right.
you know? And I'm grateful right now, like I'm grateful for my peace right now,
Mm-hmm.
and me being transparent. See, people are scared to say things and talk about stuff like this because that make them look like they're a weak parent.
Right.
You know,
Right.
that
Right.
don't that means, your child just have a different path. Something with you two are not connecting. You
Mm.
know, it's something with you two are not connecting. I will search and search and search till I find that puzzle, that piece. I'm going to keep searching for it.
Mm.
Because me, I like, and I know everybody there. I love my kids.
Yeah.
No matter what happened, I love my babies that I put on this earth,
Mm-hmm.
and my granddaughters. I love them even harder.
Yeah.
And I'm going to fight not only for them, for the mom, but for them.
Mm.
I want to make sure they're good. You
Right.
know, I
Right.
want a family dynamic. I
Mm.
want, when I say something, I want my daughter to be right behind me, co-signing, so that we can make sure this little one understand.
I love that.
This a
I
train
love
wreck.
that. I
Yeah,
love that.
you should be in correction right behind me. But don't
Mm.
go against me. Don't undermine me when I'm trying to correct something just because you have a different mindset. You don't do that. Don't undermine me in front of them.
Right.
You
Mm.
know, don't
Right.
do that. We need to be on the same page,
Mm-hmm.
even if we're not on the same page. In those kids' eyes, let us stay on the same page.
That's why I do what I do because the Bible says the older women shall teach the younger women how to what? Love their husbands, how to maintain their homes. And I think a responsible woman, a woman of wisdom, does exactly that. She makes sure that she's teaching her children, be it whether she's single or whether she's married or whether she's in a complicated marriage or whatever, but still married. Our job is to teach them whether they get it now or get it later. It doesn't mean that we stop telling them because they're not receiving it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that we just try different approaches, different ways to get the same message across, but we don't give up. We continue
Mm-mm.
to do it. I fought really hard when I went through that season and time frame where my daughter, which you could never tell me that 10 years ago that I was
Right.
going to have that kind of relationship at that time frame with my daughter. You couldn't tell me that. I
Mm-mm.
grew up, I felt like I was the perfect parent. I was
Yeah.
doing everything right. How could I possibly have to deal with this? But I can tell you from experience that God, when you trust God to and he's the third person involved, that God will come in, and he has changed a lot of the circumstances. And my daughter came to me a year later and said, Mom, I apologize. God dealt with her heart, because the Bible said, train up a child in a way that they should go, that when they get old, they won't depart. So the problem is sometimes the discouragement comes in the waiting, while we're waiting for them to transform how they think through circumstance. Because sometimes stuff got to happen in their life for them to get everything that you have been telling them all their life. And then one day they have that aha moment and be like, Mommy was right. Mommy was right when she said XYZ, because they grow up and have children, and their children give them the hell that they gave us. I told my mother, I'm sorry for all the times I disrespected you or did anything that was wrong. Because I'm telling you, when I had my daughter, I didn't think my daughter liked me at 4 months,
Yeah.
because I was like, literally, she was always crying. I was like, I'm getting all the punishment in the hell that I gave my mom. And as she grew up, I started to see, oh my God, is this what parenting is really about? This is some major stuff. It didn't come with no manual, like it was like I had to figure this stuff out on the go. But I can tell you, sitting on the other side, that I trusted God to step in, and I stood my ground. Even in the hard times, I still stood my ground and said, this is what we're not going to tolerate. And this is what we're going to do. And this is, as long as you my child, as long as you in my house, this is how we're going to do it. And then when you leave, we still going to do this.
That's what
And
we're
it,
gonna
and
do.
that's what we're going to do. And
And
God turned it
that's a
around.
big thing. That's a big thing, standing your ground.
Mm-hmm.
Because they'll take you very lightly.
Oh, them girls.
You
Oh
gotta
my
stand your ground,
gosh.
but my thing is, okay, so this doesn't work, that doesn't work. You have to do what? What I do is I'm gonna give you tools. I'm gonna give you these tools,
That's it.
and I'm gonna see, and hopefully these tools will work for you, because
Mm-hmm.
what you're
Mm-hmm.
doing isn't working. You know, and I have to teach. Some parents. Like my daughter is not an emotional person, but my younger daughter, she's full of emotion.
No.
My granddaughter is an emotional person. Like you got to hug and kiss her all the time. But
Oh.
my daughter is not like that.
Yeah.
She's not like that. Like it's like, you'll be like, do you like me?
Yeah.
Like, because she's just not an emotional person. And
Yeah.
and I'm trying to teach her, well, being that you do have an emotional daughter, you have to show her that
Mm.
emotion that she's requesting and requiring, because
Right.
that will push her into feeling like you don't love her.
Right. Right.
And when you don't, in the love loss of a child is a lifetime of a disparity for a child. it,
Mm-hmm.
it would it would carry them a lifetime, because all along they are looking for the love of their mommy, or they're looking for the love of their dad. When you don't give that to them, you're in trouble, because the first person that come along and give it to them could be the worst person for them, and then you lose them and you can't get them back.
And I also like to add to that too, that most of the time when daughters grow up and they have a hard exterior, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the times it's because the fathers may not be present for a time or so, because fathers, their job is to instill identity, right? They're responsible for the identity. When a girl grows up with both her mother and father in a home, she's very secure, because she has the identity instilled in her from her father, and she has the nurturing, understanding how to nurture her emotions from her mother. But
Mm-hmm.
what happens is when they grow up and have situations like when parents separate, what happens is sometimes life causes them to build a hard exterior to protect the masculine that makes them become more masculine, because they are missing that father's impartation. So what they do is they it's almost like they stand in the gap themselves, so
Mm-hmm.
they become hard exterior. So it's almost like it appears as if they don't have an emotion, but sometimes they're the most emotional. You just can't see it. You have to see with the eyes of God to see that there is emotion, sometimes more emotion than what you think. But what happens is I have one of my business coaches, we talk about, what it's like when you don't have your father there. And it's the one thing to have them physically alive, supporting you, but having that emotional support, having that. And it don't matter if you have a stepfather or not. Let me tell you something. Having a stepdad, I always had a problem with my stepdad, and they didn't even do nothing with me. They didn't do nothing with me. I mean, they treated me nice. I didn't like them just because I felt like I wanted that little girl inside of me was like, I want to reserve this for my real dad. I want to reserve this. So I'm gonna give you a hard time just because. So I knew when I started to see my daughter give my husband a really hard time, like, why you got to stay here and all this other stuff, it was as a result. She really wanted the love and affection and the presence of her physical dad to be in the home with us.
Mm-hmm.
Even though my husband was loving her just as much as, it didn't matter.
It
It
didn't
didn't
matter.
feel the same.
Mm-mm.
It didn't feel the same because she was still
Right.
missing, and it
Right.
affected her long term. It still affects her to this day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say sometimes we as parents, we move on and we do the best that we can. We do the best that we can, and we to bring restoration and try to bring peace in our home. But the children still suffer with the lack. They still deal with the hole. So when I had to deal with my daughter, I couldn't deal with her the way most parents would tell me to deal with her. Well, if I was you, I would do this and this, that. I said, no, I have to deal with her differently because her issue isn't because of she's just a teenager just having issues. Her issues is she's having a struggle moving past her father and I divorcing after that is all she knew. So she's struggling with, and that's why I chose for the time frame that I said I had to take some time and really take them through a healing process, because if I would have, and it took me like 7 years before I got remarried again. And it's still, there's no time frame. They have to, you still sometimes still have to move on. But the point that I was making is I had to, where people were like, girl, she 18. I wouldn't have to deal with it. I would just tell her, look, this is the way it is. I knew I had to come from a different perspective. And
Right.
I knew I had to show extra love, even though I felt like, for what? Your father treated me wrong,
Right.
But I had to still come from a different perspective and say to her, look, I understand that you're missing your dad. I do. I get that. But your dad and I are not going to be able to rekindle our relationship. It's not, I know you want to, but it's just not. And she would just get mad and just throw tantrums and sometimes get even worse, take it out on my husband. But it took patience.
Yeah.
It took patience, endurance to be able to say, you know what, and prayer, mad prayer to say, God, like, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep praying that she gets through this. And that she understands, that she knows that I'm there. And that takes, that's a lot, because you go through so much while you're waiting.
Like I'm still waiting, but I'm still waiting for that moment,
It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
The thing is, I'm at peace with things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The good thing is about it is, that she's in her own, on her own. She's in her own place. She's not, in house with me, anymore. That alone is peaceful, because we're not living in the house together ever again in life. I don't care, whatever happens, that's not happening, because I still have to, I still have to be the queen of this house, whether you like me to be, whether you like it or not. I'm still gonna be the queen of my house.
I still have reservations in this house.
My still gonna be the king of this house. There's no changing it. I don't care how you come in it. I don't care how many kids you got. I don't care nothing about that. And then the thing is about being careful. Like, our children have to be very, 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 very careful, because, like, I have 2 girls by 2 different people, 2 different, my ex and my husband. I can't say, me and my ex was together for a very long time. You know what I'm saying? For a very long time. So it wasn't like nobody that I just, had a baby with.
Right.
We had a whole year's relationship. I go from that to a marriage. So I didn't have, I wasn't no loosey goosey where, you just seen a lot of stuff coming through.
Right.
So where's a lot of things coming from? Because I've been called some names, and I'm like, where are these names coming from? For what? Why am I being called this?
Yeah.
I'm saying that's not what I showed you. That's not even who I am.
Yeah.
It gets to a point where you and your daughter seem like y'all, we're in competition.
Wow.
What we in competition for?
Wow.
What are we competing for? I'm in no ways trying to be your age. I'm no ways trying to be your kids' parents. I'm just trying to be the grandma. Can I just do that in peace?
Yeah.
Can I do that in peace? And I say the competition, not like, you look better than me. Not that type of competition, but the competition of being an adult.
Right.
Who's going to stand more firm with my children? They listen to you, they going to listen to me. It's just like a whole bunch of crazy stuff that you just be like, huh? I'm confused. And for you, for you to know that, okay, I don't receive my stepfather, baby, guess what you got to deal with now? Your daughter have to deal with a stepfather, because you don't have both of your children over 2 different people as I. So you got to be very careful what you give, because karma is something. Be very, very careful what you give, because you'll get it back and you won't, it'll hit you in so many ways you won't even know.
Mm,
You
that's
know,
facts. That's
be
facts.
very careful, you know. And if you can't see that, then I'm gonna ask God to have mercy on your soul.
And sometimes it's the people they're around too. Sometimes if they're interacting with people who they can, different spirits that are on them transfer to them, and you be like, wait a minute, I didn't raise my child like this. Like, where this come from? Like, how
I
did
know,
it's like,
I
where
know,
did it come? It's like
you
it's the
know.
people sometimes too, the people that they hang around
That's
with.
what I told you. I'm like, you got to be careful who you have a child with. Be
Mm-hmm.
careful who you are intimate with. Some people's spirits don't mix with yours. They can turn you to a whole nother person.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be very careful. You know, and me, I'm just grateful for it all at the end of the day. You know, I don't I'm not happy I that happened to me. I'm not happy I had to go through that,
Right.
but I'm grateful that I got, that I went through it, cuz now at this point in my life, I get to help other families that's dealing with the same thing
Mm.
I've dealt with. How I did
Yes.
things, how I can help you with these, I can give you these tools. I can help you with this situation. don't
Mm.
don't don't lay down and be defeated. We succumb
Right.
to some parents succumb to their children being that way, being disrespectful, allowing them to smoke weed with them. Well, I
Mm.
would rather my child smoke weed with me than out in the street. I would rather my child get slapped in their face if they pull it in my house and they are children.
Right, right. I don't understand that. It's almost like, but you know what? We have kids are becoming parents younger and younger. And so they are allowing things. It's like with each generation,
Mhm.
the younger the parents are and the more tolerant they are of stuff that you be like,
No,
what in the world? What
no,
you mean you smoking weed? What you mean as long as they smoke it in the house where I
no,
can see them? It's like, what?
no.
Where they do that at? Like,
Into the big O, however you want no to be. No, that
mhm.
means you have already just said, well, you know, I'm allowing you to run my house.
Right.
I'm no longer the parent. I'm gonna let you do this because I feel safer this way. That's not safe.
Right.
That's not okay. So you just
Right.
being lazy because you don't want to. You're not ready to fight this fight. You're being
Right.
lazy. You don't allow your child to do nothing in your house, especially at a young age. You don't allow them to do nothing in
You
your
gotta
house.
create boundaries. You
You
got
they
to
gonna
create
sneak.
boundaries.
You better be on that. You better be behind the house sneaking. You better be in the basement sneak. You better not be up in my living room pulling nothing. And you a child. You in middle school. Get out of here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what's happening. A lot of parents are giving them their out of fear of I don't want to lose my child or I don't want to so they let them do stuff. I remember one time I said this to one lady um in Florida when I was living in Florida and she was saying her actual it was her granddaughter and she was actually allowing her granddaughter to smoke weed in the house and I'm like what the heck I'm like you can't do that and she was like well it's almost like she was ignoring it making it seem like she didn't really know she was doing it but she knew that she was doing it and I'm like but I'm not oh she not doing this she not doing it. I'm like open up the bathroom if your bathroom smelling like weed coming through the vents she's smoking weed like you need
That is not
oh
weed, girl.
no
Are
I'm like
you
my
crazy?
mother would
That's
have
not what you smell. You don't smell no weed coming. That's potpourri.
mm, purple weed.
Okay, we could change it up. you know but I'm just saying, like parenting is extremely hard.
Mm-hmm.
It really is,
It is.
especially in our day and age right now. It is extremely trying. It is
Yeah.
exhausting.
Oh
I
yeah.
just encourage all of these parents to just keep your children busy.
Yeah.
You have to keep them absolutely busy. Because if you letting them go to school and come home, I understand some things are not affordable. I'm not saying that. But if you can, keep them as busy as possible. Because if not, the world is going to grab a hold of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because they too idle.
Right. Right.
The world is going to grab a hold of them. And once the world gets a hold of your child, either and it's sad. Some of us, some of our children don't make it in
Sad.
more ways than one. I don't want to keep saying that. Some of our children don't make it. Some choose drugs. Some choose this. Then you
Mm-hmm.
got the babies in middle school. They got babies now. That's too much.
It's like you said in our conversation the other day, we're not growing old anymore.
No, we're not getting old.
It's
We're
like kids are dying like
not.
early. They're getting themselves into I've seen a girl, one of my girlfriends, I saw her daughter, and I remember watching this little girl as a baby. Like, I remember looking at her like, oh, and then when I see her now, I'm like, I'm shocked because I know her mom, and I know her mom, what her standards was like. I watched her raise her, how she was just, and to see is like you could do everything you can to raise your children the right way, and they will still go and do and live like you ain't never taught them nothing.
Nothing. You like, you were sitting up there embarrassed, like, I saw your daughter doing this, like that wasn't my daughter. I didn't raise my daughter like that. And that's why
Right.
people, they blame parents for a lot of stuff. A lot of things that are not our fault.
Yeah.
It's who they get a hold of, peer pressure, all the stuff that's
Right.
outside your home. You could teach your child. You could raise your child. You can keep your child in church. You could pray over your child. You could do everything the right way. It still depends on the child, who they around, who they listen to, who they believe in.
Right. Speaking in their
Will
ear.
believe. Yeah. Like my daughter at 16, when she got with her daughter father, he had her thinking she was a woman at 16 years old. He groomed her really, really, really hard. And I'm like, you're a woman,
Wow.
you're 16. And that's mentally, I feel like, my daughter was not street smart because I kept her
Mm,
right under here. And anybody
mm,
that know me knows that.
mm,
Somebody that was that had the gift of gab, street smart, got a
mm,
hold of my child.
mm.
Okay. They
Normally
got
how it
hold.
works.
And because she, I kept her here, it was easy to manipulate her.
Mm.
Like you thinking and you tell it. The reason why I know she thought she was a grown woman, because she told me I'm grown. I'm a grown woman. You 16, you grown? Okay.
Wow.
All right. Well, this light bill right here. Hello.
Facts. Facts.
Why? Well, why you eating all this stuff I'm buying? Go out there and do something. You grown.
Right.
You just have to be careful who your child around and who's grooming them.
Right.
You got to be careful. Like, I'm nosy. Like people say, well, my child didn't bring that report card home. So
Yep.
you think people bring paper home? Go online.
Yep.
Go
Yep.
online.
There's
Why don't
ways
you know
around it.
nothing
You
about
gotta be, you gotta be involved. You gotta.
nosy?
I told the parents I had a mentoring program in Jacksonville some years ago, and I was telling the parents you gotta get in their business. You gotta get on their social
All of
media.
it.
You gotta see what they're doing. You gotta be all. And my son, I told him at 20. He's 20 now, but back then I said you can't have a Facebook. I'm sorry, you can't have a Facebook, you can't have an Instagram, you can't have anything. Well, he was like, well, why? Because you just can't. You're not you because there's some things that you're gonna be exposed to that I'm not really ready for you to really have it. And he didn't. He literally just got his Instagram like about a year or two ago, and he still doesn't have Facebook. But my other kids, they're now on social media and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you got to get in their business. You got to doors closed. Oh, we didn't growing up. Who closed doors? Like my mother would rip the door off the handle
Put the
if you
whole
tried to
shoe print
close.
on the door. Open this door,
I
please.
could never close my door except for when I was getting dressed. I remember one time I closed my door. My mother kicked the door in like, who closes doors around here?
The
I'm
whole
like,
side.
what? So
The
it's
whole
like nowadays kids slamming doors in their parents' face. I'm like, I couldn't even close my door. My 9-year-old had the nerve to close her door one day, and I almost lost. I had a flashback. Like I was like, do I kick the door in? Did she close the door? Did she just tell me I was talking too loud and closed the door when I was doing Sisterhood Checkin? She closed the door. I was like, I had a flashback. Like, I'm like, wow, where they do that at? Like, because
Yeah.
my mother we didn't have closed doors. Like you wasn't
No,
closing no doors.
you ain't got no
But we
privacy. Get out
like
of here.
privacy. Yes.
But
It's
now
like nowadays, these kids are, and a lot of them, is sad to say, some mothers, because they are having them younger, they're having to work 2, 3 jobs. So they're not really there raising their
yeah,
children. Children are raising themselves. When we were latchkey kids, mom wasn't home or mom was out or whatever. We knew, okay, just go home, start doing your homework, eat your snack till she come back and she fix dinner and you
yeah,
take your bath and you go to bed, right?
right.
Nowadays, these kids are being latchkey at really young ages, like really young, and they're being left to tend to themselves because some of the mothers don't have a choice.
Right.
They have to get
They
out here
don't.
and
They
work,
have to work.
and they're getting exposed to. That's why we need people not just talking, but being a community and saying, hey, let me be there to kind of like help out. Let me support you, in what you do. I have a young girl. Still call her like my daughter now. I had young girls that I actually, would mentor, when I was in Florida, and I would say, say this, have these same conversations with them when they were having babies at 19, 20 years old, and showing, different things that you can do to be able to still provide for your house and still be there for your kids. It's like now you guys got like Section 8 and stuff like that, and all these double digit programs that help you. I didn't have jack.
Mm-mm.
I didn't have
Mm-mm.
nothing. I had to work. I was working at 7-Eleven from 6 in the morning to 2 o'clock. I had to catch the bus to take my daughter to the daycare that was 40 minutes away, and then get back on a bus to go to my job to be at work at 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then had to come back and had to get to the daycare, take the bus to the daycare, take the daycare, get back on the daycare before, hurry up and catch the last bus, to catch the
So you
41
get
to go
left
back home.
because we know about that last bus.
Oh God, what? I can't tell you how many times I was running, dragging
Right.
her, like trying to get that 41, because you know how the 41 used to run, like trying to get the 41 to get to Park Avenue, trying to hurry up to get to when I lived on 19th Street, trying
Yeah.
to hurry. It's like nowadays, it's like, they get the luxury of having cars. It's like now, it's like we didn't even know what having a car was like. We was catching a bus everywhere.
Whole
We was
bus.
catching a train and a bus. Nowadays, some of them are working. They're working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, and they can't really be there. They don't have, some of them don't even have the support of their grandmother like you to kind of help them, because some of the grandmothers have written them off because they
Look,
like, they like, look,
grandmas ain't grandmama no more. Okay.
no, they're not. They're not.
They're not grandmama no more. And I keep saying that. I'm like, I'm going to stop grandmama as hard as I do, because I need to be out. I need to be enjoying myself. My baby is in college. She earned a
Mm-hmm.
4-year scholarship. She's doing her thing. She's in college, and I'm very proud of her. I should be out like woohoo, kicking up,
Mm-hmm.
doing whatever I want to do. But that, of course, I don't want to be out all the time, but I'm a grandma to the core. And anybody that know me know Rita always got her grandkids. I sure do. I do. I have them a lot, and I'm try to, break away a little bit, because I got things to do. I got things to accomplish, and I have to start thinking in those ways. I
Mm-hmm.
gave you tools. I need you to use the tools I provide you to get through this time.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to trust that that method is going to work. So guess what? If that method is not going to work, we're going to try another method.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to try something else. But I have things to accomplish. You know, while, like I said, while my daughter's doing her 4 years, accomplishments is going to happen. It's going to happen. I feel like, I've been a parent since I've been 19 years old. And that's
Mm-hmm.
all, and I've been doing that, being a parent, working, taking care of my family, my husband and I, you know, we've been doing what we had to do. Now our baby is in college, you know, I have to accomplish some things. And like I was telling you the other day, that saying that I heard, and it's real. If and I'm gonna say it, they said if we spoil our
Mm-hmm.
children, we
Mm-hmm.
will wind up raising our grandchildren. But if
Mm.
you raise your children, you can spoil your grandchildren.
I
And that is,
love that.
yeah,
Wow. Well, I'm
Yes.
hoping to be a grandma. Hopefully, my daughter like, I'm like, I need one of y'all to make me a Meemaw. I've been dying to have the title of Meemaw because
So
I
you
already
like
got my
grandma.
name. I already
Okay.
got my name in place. I already got my name in place. When I become a grandma, I'm gonna be grandma Nita or something. I'm gonna get a grandma or something because
Something.
I'm like, I gotta get out here. I want to be spoiling my grandbabies too.
Right. And this is what I say. I thank God for everything that He has
Yes,
brought to me.
yes,
Now I feel like everything that I have gone through was not in vain. You know,
right.
now I have a career, where I'm going to foresee that other people get through.
Right.
Okay. I'm going to foresee other people that, for other people to get through.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and
Right.
the thing is about me being transparent is I didn't apply for this job.
Mm.
You see,
Mm.
God
Mm.
was building me and putting me
Mm.
through this and make it out. He chose me. He
Mm.
chose this soldier right here. He
Mm.
chose
Now, when
me.
you said that you had tools that you normally give, what are some of the tools that you share with other women with what you do? And we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to take a quick break before I let her answer that. But when we come back, I want you to go over the tools that you give the young women and that you give to your daughter to kind of help her, because there might be some young women that are watching now and maybe moms at the age that we were moms and trying to figure this thing called life and parenting out, as it's because a lot of younger, it's sad to say, but a lot of younger girls are alone. They're single. They're raising their children by themselves with grandma's help. So when we come back from a commercial break, I want you to share with us some of those tools that you use in order to help them. Because I think when we were talking, I was listening to you, I was like, man, that makes so much sense. We don't think that the stuff that we deal with when we were, that we dealt when we were like 18, 19 years
Yeah.
old, and what got us through, we forget that, yeah, these things helped us. Let's go ahead and do those same things and share with them. And we're going to come back after this. And those of you that are watching, make sure you put in the comments and engage with us. If you are watching us, if you are just now watching us, make sure you put in hashtag replay if you're watching on a replay. If you have just joined us, make sure you engage with us. Thank you so much to everyone. I want to acknowledge all of our people that have engaging. KPO Chester said, looking good, big sis. Keep it up, ladies. Fatima says, oh my God, Lord, I have sent this to a woman raising these ladies. Thank you, Fatima. She's Cape Chester says, great topic, ladies. And Rahima is clapping and applauding you. Also, Fatima says, amen. And Bridget, hey, Bridget. Bridget knows all too well what we're talking about as parents. Bridget said, right. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to continue with our special guest, Rita Nelson-Harden. I did a broadcast a couple of months ago, and I was saying how if you don't operate in your season, you're useless. So, and I gave the example of the fig tree, right? And I said that how Jesus cursed the fig tree because it was time. IBG Careers is looking for customer service representatives needed to service their customers from home. If you're interested, please apply at www. I've done some terrible things in my life.
Some of them I chose to do.
And I own these choices.
But others, I just feel like I was swept up in a series of circumstances that didn't involve my will.
They just sort of happened to me.
I've become the culmination of those choices and circumstances.
So I guess I just need to say it.
I really need some help.
Hi, I'm Nadira Lewis, author, life, and business coach, and founder of the Becoming a Woman of Proverbs Wisdom Academy. I help women take their life experiences and turn them into life lessons. I also believe that just like hurt people, transform people can transform people too. Make sure you book a call with me at www.womanofproverbscoaching.com, and I'll see you on the other side of victory.
Long before the beginning of all other beginnings, God is. In a burst of creative activity, God creates the world and everything in it. Humans are designed to live inside of this unique relationship, but they choose otherwise. The law of God is broken, and the heart of God is pierced. But the story isn't over. In the fullness of time, God gives his Son, born of a woman, born under the law. Jesus comes to seek and save those who are lost, wounded for our transgressions, crushed for our iniquities. On the cross, God is in Christ, reconciling the world to himself. And with a loud cry, Jesus breathes his last. But the story isn't over. On the morning of the third day, the power of the living God erupts, breaking through death with the moment that will define all other moments. Perched at the edge of heaven, the angels stand in awe as one of their own rolls away the stone that's guarding the body of Jesus. As if anything can guard Jesus. He walks out of the tomb alive. He is victorious. He is conquering death and rendering the grave unnecessary. He is living and moving and breathing as only the risen Son of God can. But the story isn't over. We are, every one of us, searching and hoping and longing for life. It's a desire that's been deposited into our souls by the very same God who spoke it all into existence. And it's this exact life that the resurrection of Jesus invites us into. So bring your hopes, your regrets, your successes and your failures. Bring your doubts, your joys, your fears and your dreams. Be resolute and unwilling to settle for anything less than the abundant life of the risen King. Because truly, if the story isn't over, then what happens next might just change everything.
Ooh, we are back here on Sisterhood Check-In. And I'm telling you, every time I watch that video, my response is always the same. If the story isn't over, then what happens next might change everything. If you are watching us for the first time, thank you so much for watching us. Make sure you click the subscribe button and hit the notification button and let us know so that you can be notified every time we upload a new video. And those that have been watching, I hope you got your coffee, because we have been, I'm telling you, your coffee or your tea, because we have been talking some stuff here. I'm telling you about parenting. Rita, you, before the break, you were, I asked you to talk about some of the tools that you are using to give, because now you're doing the very thing that you do with your own family. You're doing it to help other women, which is, it takes courage in the middle of what you're going through to still help another mother that's going through the same thing? What are some of the tools that you use to help these mothers that are dealing with the same thing that you're dealing with?
One of my main tools are, you know, I have, I deal with young moms that
Mm-hmm.
have multiple children.
Mm-hmm.
I deal, they are lost because functioning with multiple babies, we all know it's
Oh
rough.
God.
It
Oh.
it brings on a whole different ball game. You're stressed out. You
Mm-hmm.
can't be the best mom ever
Mm-hmm.
because you have too many to look after.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to do this, and
Mm-hmm.
while you're doing this, one pulling this that it gets stressful. The environment,
Ooh, gosh,
and
yes.
you just like, I can't do this. Well, you
You're right.
can. There are tools. There are ways.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm teaching. If you have school age children, one of the number one rules that I live by: bath at night,
Yes.
shower at night. Nobody should have to be jumping up, putting their children in the shower, going out, catching a cold. Shower, bath at night.
Mm-hmm.
Another good tool for moms that have school age children: let's get these clothes ready at nighttime.
Oh my gosh.
Let's get your clothes ready at nighttime. Matter of fact, once we do laundry on Sunday, let's get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of the week. This your
Mm.
outfit for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Let's get that out of the way. I know y'all mom got some baggies in their house. I know she shop at Fashion Over Sheen. I know there's some bags in there. So what I do for my grandbabies, well, I only got one that go to school. But what I do is I teach my daughter, get her clothes out for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Put them in a baggie. 5 baggies that can hold their
Mm.
clothes. They're school age. They know how to get one baggie, put your clothes on. They
That's a
already,
good idea.
yeah, they already had their shower. Get one of the baggies. It don't matter which one you get. Put your clothes on. That will
Mm.
help parents in the morning because our babies in Hampton, Virginia, have to be on the bus at 6:45 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
That is very early. So a
Yeah.
way to ease your stress: shower at night. Let's get the clothes out for the week. So all they gotta do is get up, clean their face, brush their teeth, lotion, throw their clothes on, book bag and coat by
At
the
the
door.
door. At the door.
By the door. So you can grab and go. There is a lot of young ladies don't know how to use that method.
Mm.
That's what I'm teaching my young girls,
So
my
you
young
teach them
mom.
practical life skills.
Life
Like,
skills,
I love that. I love
life
that.
skills. I also give them the tool of, okay, so since they're school age, more than likely mommy's working.
Mm-hmm.
You think I'm gonna be sitting in the kitchen cooking all night? We don't have time for that. We need to be in bed by 8:30, 9 o'clock the latest.
Yeah.
Get them some quick fixes. If you're not a cook, when you're gonna just be sitting over the stove chopping up chicken, making some curry, making some homemade this. You got mashed potatoes in the store. You got macaroni. All kids like macaroni.
All kids love macaroni.
Get them some quick fixes. You have Stouffer's meals. You got lasagna. You got spaghetti. There's so many quick fixings that you can provide. And if you want to be that cook, okay, go ahead, cook. But please have some snacks along the way for your kids. Some
Mm-hmm.
grapes, some
Mm-hmm.
cuties, some little, applesauce, Go-Gurts. Because once the kids get hungry, they get cranky. They don't understand to have to wait.
Oh gosh. Oh, I've
They don't understand that.
a
Another tool.
6-year-old.
That's another tool. That's for all the moms that have children. You have multiple children. You got to get these children on the bus. And sometimes you got to leave before the children get on the bus. Make sure they have everything they need. Your clothes, your shoes, your book bag by the door, so that they can get dressed and go. It's
Mm.
very stressful for a lot, some ladies that I have to, counsel.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard for them. This
Mm.
is another tool. You don't have time to go to grocery shop. You don't have time for that. Hello, get them apps on that phone.
Yes.
Get the
Yes.
phone, order your food. Your food will be right at your door. Matter of fact, I might be the one bringing it to you. Let's go. Let's go. You don't have to sit there, walk through no store. You don't have to do all of that. Get online, download those apps, order your food at your door. That's another stress relief. Who feel like going out, especially if it's cold and raining and snowing?
And you got
Order
your
that
children
food.
with you. Yeah.
That's a job. That is a job for someone. You're helping someone that,
Right.
that's another job. So you're
Right.
it twice. Those are just like small tools that I like to give to moms that have multiple children or one or two that have to, working, don't have time for this on the go. That way you can function.
Right.
And, like we said, it's nothing wrong with your child on the tablet. Just monitor them. YouTube Kids.
Oh yeah.
YouTube Kids, put it on there
Oh
because with YouTube Kids, all they're doing is watching kid stuff. This
yeah.
way, if you need them to be, quiet for a moment, give them that. YouTube Kids.
And do that hair at nighttime. Lord have mercy, please.
Could you go ahead and do that?
Braid them hair. When you got children like mine who hair all the way down here, I'd be like, oh no, we got to do it the night before. I cannot be up. Oh my God. Oh Lord, I feel like I'm like a loser trying to do their hair in the morning.
Braids is life.
Yeah.
Preparation is everything. A lot of people live in dysfunction. And then once they start in dysfunction, you continue in dysfunction. It's just it caused more dysfunction. Use these tools that will, when I tell you, it will help you severely with multiple children in the morning. A lot of our babies are stressed out because they were doing adult things and now they got to live an adult life. And I'm not gonna say, I'm not gonna judge them.
Yeah.
I don't know what type of environment they were in, which caused them to do that. They could have been in an environment that their parent put them in. They could just be following suit. You never know. So I can't judge and be like, she shouldn't have no baby. No, I wouldn't want her to have a baby. But then that we're going to move forward and not backwards. We're going to get tools and figure this thing out so we can get her to, to the finish line at the end of the day.
Right.
For even like adults, moms that are having problems with your daughters, don't be afraid to be vulnerable to, with your daughters.
Right.
You got to limit though. You can't just, you can't tell everything because sometimes they'll use it against you.
Oh, yes. Oh God.
Well, you just like, I'm going to just be transparent. I'm going to tell them what happened to me so they won't do it. Can't tell them everything. They'll start using it against you. But don't be afraid to sit down and talk. And one thing I have learned about talking, when you go in with what's wrong with you? You're showing aggression. And you're showing aggression. So no, I don't want to talk to you now. Come to them. Ask them, are you okay?
Right.
The are you okay or the what's wrong with you are different. Because now I have to be defensive now. You're coming to me, aggressively. It doesn't.
Right.
Sit down and talk to them. Ask them what's bothering them. Ask them, is anybody bothering them? Ask them, what can I do to help you? How can I help you? Don't be afraid to tell your children, I love you. Through your anger. I mean, that's not anger, but anger. Through it, you'll be able to tell your child, I love you. You cannot discipline your child and don't show them love. It don't work.
And you got to get involved with what they do. Like sometimes, as parents, we tell people, it's like we talking at them instead of talking to them, and we gotta learn how to. You can't hear me? Hold on.
It's like an echo.
Okay. What about now?
It's doing the same thing.
Hold on. Let me make sure my audio is. You can keep talking while I fix my audio.
I personally, I have, families that are going through so much. When you feel like you are going through so much, someone else is going through so much as well, and a little bit more. I don't know where she went, but I'm gonna go ahead and keep this train moving. There's a lot of people that are going through a lot of things, and just know that just because a person is going through stuff and they don't have what you have, like I teach kids, so what? So what? They got Jordan. You don't have Jordan. So I never seen a Jordan make nobody face any cuter. I've never seen a Louis Vuitton bag make anybody any prettier.
Mm.
Pick and choose your battles. So what?
Wow.
So what? So what? These people are able to get this, and that's why you got to teach your child. Just because this person has this in school, that don't mean that that doesn't minimize you at all.
Right.
It don't mean you don't look bad compared to them. None of that. You have to also let your children know, because children are being picked on at school. People, like I had a young lady that was her self-esteem was so low because she was dark skinned.
Wow.
I had to have her. Hello.
Wow.
Just because you're dark skinned don't mean it's wrong. And a lot of times, because I grew up and I got picked at for being dark skinned. Come to me with it now. I bet you can't. So you got to encourage.
We are waiting for Rita to return. I don't know about you guys, but I am enjoying the dialogue. We are having an amazing time. So you guys, while we're waiting for Rita to come back in, we had a little bit of technical issue with audio. While we're waiting her to come back in, put it in the comments and let me know, what do you feel? What are some tools? Do you agree with some of the tools that she has been using? Hold on, I'm gonna send her a message. Rita, if you are watching, we'll wait for you to come back in. But yeah, some of these tools that we did, that our parents did with us, helped us along the way, helped us to be able to get through when we were young mothers. So yes, if you have children that are young age school children, do them hairs the night before, give them the baths the night before, get their clothes out. I remember watching my mom and them iron our clothes out for 6-7 iron our clothes for 5 days out the week and line them, stack them on top of each other, looking like a little mountain. And all we had to do is go grab our clothes. And those are they may seem very minute, but these tools are what we use back then to help it make it easier for our mom. So though it may seem very simple, these tools actually help it helped, me with my children growing up. I've always, the majority of the time, been able to work from home. So I still do the same thing, get the clothes out at nighttime. I'm glad that now they're in school where they have to wear uniforms. Woo! Thank God for those uniforms, because you already know they got the same thing that when they done, she's bad. We were talking about the uniforms. Now my daughters wear uniforms, so I'm so grateful for them uniforms, girl.
I had to. Okay, so I had to turn my TV down because I was trying to keep up with you on TV.
Oh,
so I can keep up. Yes. Like uniforms was it. But my thing is, I was definitely speaking on like moms encouraging their daughters, because it's a lot of pressure out here. And uniforms was a good thing because we all look alike. So guess what? We don't have to compete about nothing.
Right.
You have to let your children know that everything is not for everyone. Everyone is in their season when they're in their season.
Right.
So don't feel bad. That I have girls that I am dealing with that have very little. And I have and I'm trying to encourage them that what do you have little of? What don't you have?
Right.
I said, because when you get off that school bus, you come in your house, you have some TV, you have food. The things that are important in life are important.
Right.
And that's what we have to encourage.
Right.
And although the mom is, telling, doing the best she can, and she's, she's telling her children, the same thing I'm telling them, because I'm coming on the outside and I'm telling them again, I'm reiterating what mom is telling them. that helps, that helps kids. So sometimes, you might be like, well, I'm not getting involved in that because those are your kids. No, they actually are all of our kids.
Right. Right.
They're actually all of our children.
Mhm.
And at some point, we
I
need to
agree.
understand that our children need a village. They
Mm,
need a village.
right.
Somebody need to be able to tell your child something,
Right. Right.
because like I said, they may not receive it from the mom.
Right, right. And sometimes that happens. Like you could say stuff and you could like I could say some stuff to my kids and my best friend will come back. I'll say it to they blue in the face. And my best friend will say it and they be like, oh, like they said, like you just said something new. But I trust her. So it's like I'm grateful that she can come, that she stands for the same thing that I stand for. So I don't have to look over my shoulder and watch what she's saying to my kids, because I know we grew up with the same morals and values, and I seen her parent. We've known each other, so it's like when I see her, and it don't even have to be somebody that I know. If I know you coming at them the right way and you saying, you telling them something
Mm-hmm.
that's right, I don't
Mm-hmm.
interfere. I don't
Mm-hmm.
interfere because
At
I
all.
want them to see. Because when we were younger, if we did, we had the neighbors that was watching. We had the neighbors, and where we was at, Angie and them was living next door to us. So if her mother, or Miss or D downstairs from Angie would come out there, they'd be like, "What you doing?" Like, and they had the right to tell us what to do,
That's
just
right.
like everybody else did. The parents across the street, but nowadays it's hard because some parents, like I said, the younger and younger they're getting with having children, they don't always receive when you
Right.
tell them. There's some kids like that you talk to them and their parents be about to fight you because you
Yeah.
said something to them.
Yeah. And I should be able to say something. I'm trying to help you, help us, because whatever, is going on with your child, we're in the neighborhood. I may need your child. They're our future. So I need to be able to straighten out your children. You need to be able to straighten out my children. I shouldn't have to argue with you about something your
Right,
child did wrong. You should
right,
be right behind me the same way. You should be
right.
co-signing everything I'm saying. So I'm saying that to say we need these villages.
Mm-hmm.
We need all of our parents to come together.
Right.
We as parents need help.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
need help. Even some of us older parents, we may need help.
And not be afraid to ask for it.
Don't be
Not
afraid. A
be
closed mouth
afraid to
don't
ask
get
for
fed.
it. Right.
Mm-mm. Don't be afraid. So just take the time out, and like I'm, like girls that are moms that are dealing with like these teenagers or whatever. Talk. You got to keep talking. It's tiring. It's
Mm,
exhausting, but you have to keep talking.
you have
They
to.
may not be picking up what you putting down right at that time,
Mm-hmm.
but believe you me, they hear you. It's going in there.
Oh yeah.
They have to internalize it and use it, but it's going in there. And
Or
just
sometimes
stay
I gotta
encouraged.
create a situation where they have to dig inside and pull out all the things that you told them.
Right. It'll get used at some point. Just stay encouraged. You're not alone. You're by your, you're not alone. I felt, alone in my journey a lot of the times.
Mm,
My husband was definitely here,
yeah.
but a lot of times, sometimes you just try to deal with things
Right.
on your own. He out working all day, he got to come home to this. You just sometimes try to deal with it, you know, by yourself, because that's a mixed family that I put together,
Mhm.
a blended family. So
Mm,
you trying to like, well, I'm going to handle it, because this is your stepdaughter. I'm going to handle it,
mm.
allow that man to chastise your child. A lot of people get that confused. They
Yeah.
get that misconstrued.
If
I
he's
ain't say
gonna be your
allow
husband,
your
he should be able to.
I didn't say allow them to beat their brains out and abuse
Right.
them, but he should be able to say something to them. He should be able to chastise them equally, because he's the man of the house and he's raising them. A lot of people don't agree with that, and that will be up to you. Per your household, you do it the way you choose to. But I know that was a mistake that I made. I did
Yeah.
not allow, you know, my husband to chastise my daughter, because I feel like, oh no, I got this, of course, blended
Masculine
family. So
energy. Masculine
that is
energy.
a mistake. That is a
Mhm.
mistake that I made. Don't make that mistake. Don't say, well, he not going to, okay, that's your business. So when, they get out of line, don't go to him.
Right.
You handle it. You be alone in it.
Because
That's what
that's
he
his
there for.
job. His job
Yeah.
is to protect and provide. And so he should be able to, if you took the vow to marry him, he should be able to. I had a situation, and I'll tell you this real quick, with my husband before he died. Never had an issue. He's always loved my children. My children always loved him. But we had one incident with my son, Rita, and it's them babies, them baby boy, them babies, they get close to your heart. And I was still growing. I'll say that. I was still growing. I had been single for so long. Like I said, it was 7 years between my first divorce. So I was single for 7 years. And I had that masculine energy
Yeah.
of, I got this. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
handle this, not
Mm-hmm.
understanding that I had an imbalance of masculine energy. So I took, being with somebody who had narcissistic traits, you kind of fill in and feel like, okay, now I'm raising them. Now I'm going to be the man. I never was those women. I was never that type of woman that when Father's Day come, I'm the mother and the father.
And a father.
I never was that type. And
Right.
so I remember my husband, we were married about 2 years. And I remember he was getting on my youngest son about something with the garbage. And he was like, man, I done told you several times to change this garbage. And every time you change the garbage, you never put a bag in the garbage. And he was really frustrated that day. And I sat back and I said, I'm gonna be quiet. It was hard because I was used to being the parent, stepping in. So it was the hardest thing ever. So I did allow my flesh to kind of intervene because I was still growing and didn't really understand. I was still growing up with a single mom, used to the mom being the boss, the head, not really having that masculine energy, that protector type energy. So I was still growing. Right. And I got so upset and I jumped in and intervened. Yeah. And it caused a huge argument between him and I. And it was something that we talked about early in our marriage that we would never, we would always discuss if it got to that point. Right. At this particular time, it was hard. And I jumped in the middle. And when we sat down, I went upstairs. He was downstairs. And I thought to myself, I was talking to my best friend at the table when I came back downstairs and he went upstairs. And as I was conversating with her, telling her what was going on, it's like the Lord convicted me and was like, go back and fix that. Go back and fix that because it was wrong. You were in error. So in the middle of talking, I said, I gotta go fix this. I'll be right back. I went upstairs and we just looked at each other and I said, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that I still needed to grow in that area. And I didn't understand the value of having a husband because I'm so used to dealing with aggression and narcissistic behavior. I didn't know how to appreciate when a man was there and wanted to be there and wanted to step up and didn't look at it as, because my children, I felt like they were always pretty good, but they had their moments, Yeah. And so, and he said, he looked at it, we apologized and we said right then and there, we was never going to do that again. I was never going to do that again. And I didn't. Every time he got on my other son, I stared clear out the way. Because that is our problem. When you're raised in the household with single mothers, sometimes you take on that masculine role. Absolutely. And you start to feel like instead of putting your children, especially, around other men that are, that are capable of showing them, because men bring different things to parenting than we do. But it's hard when you grow up in a household with parents. I mean, my mother wasn't always single. She was married. She fulfilled her covenant until my dad died. So she grew, she fulfilled her covenant just as I did. I love to say that because I used to always be like, oh, but I'm like, wait a minute, I fulfilled the covenant. I was married. Right. I fulfilled all the vows in my covenant to the end. It's an honor to be able to do that. So so my mom, growing up after my dad passed away, she had to step into those roles because I had brothers. And so sometimes we as women, we feel like instead of placing them in the midst of other men that we consider to be, honorable men, that's the thing, because nowadays, it's hard to find honorable men, you know. But when you place them in the midst of honorable men, they can do the job of teaching them the father side. They can still impart identity into them. They can still do those things that the male job and responsibility is. We just have to learn how to just step back.
Yeah, that's very hard.
Yeah,
That's
that was
very hard
very
to
hard.
do.
I
But
know. I know.
but you have to do that. You
You have to
have to
do it.
do
You
that.
have
You
to do it.
know?
You have to do it. You have to
Yes,
do it.
you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now I have two now, since I fulfilled my covenant and prayerfully have the opportunity to be united again in another marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Now because I have grown through that. Now I'm like, okay, now I have two girls. So now I have to prepare to still be just a mom and place them and they have their brothers, and I have,
Mm-hmm.
other people that I know that are involved in their life,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
contribute the male aspect to their
Right.
life, so that
Mm-hmm.
there isn't an imbalance. So I know that when I do get married again, they're going to be in a position that won't mean that we won't have, problems, because all
Right.
families have problems.
Absolutely.
But I have grown from the mindset of, okay, God, the next man you send me has to be my husband, for one. And it has to be somebody who understands parenting, because when you marry somebody who understands parenting, or who has a broad scope of parenting in terms of being in a big family, may not have kids, but be in a big family, or do have kids and their kids may be older. So they understand, they fulfill their life. It's a lot easier to come together because they understand, okay, I've raised children, daughters, so I know what that's like. So I can help
Yes.
you.
That's right.
I can help you. And I think sometimes is that young women, we don't look for qualified men to be in
No.
our lives
No.
to
They're
help us
looking
raise
for
kids. We pick
themselves.
these boyfriends that don't give a crap. All they want to do is sleep with you. They don't really care about what your needs are, your children's needs are. But when you find somebody who is concerned about not only you, you have to grow to a point to attract those type of people. When you still got that mindset, especially when they're younger, you're attracting those younger generation. You attracting kids. They kids too. So it's like they like, you got 5 kids. It's hard for them to kind of want to, be involved in a relationship when you got 5 kids, and they stair
Mm-hmm.
steps 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's a little bit harder. But I believe that if you're faithful and you do the best mothering you can be, God
The
always,
best.
He will send somebody. Let me tell you, I was married. When I married my second husband, I had 4 kids. I thought, nobody's gonna marry me. I have 4 kids. Nobody's gonna marry me, Rita. I was like, I just might as well just be single. Nobody's gonna want to marry me. I don't care how beautiful I feel
Mhm.
like I look, how
Right.
intelligent I am. And one day my sister-in-law said to me, I felt the same way.
Right.
She said, and God sent me a husband to help me raise my children. And they're still married to this day. And He did. God sent me a husband. And not only did He help me raise my 4 children, we had 2 more children
2
after.
more.
2 more.
Mm-hmm.
So I can tell you, God can send you somebody who understands the role of a husband and of a father. And and not every man is gonna come just for one thing only. There are some men that genuinely understand what it's like to be a husband and a father. You just got to get yourself together so you can attract them.
Exactly. That's what I say all the time. You have, like, you are a mom, you
Mhm.
have children, you out shopping just for you.
Right.
What? You out shopping just for your needs. No, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You have children now. You
Right.
have to be like, okay, this guy walking by here, and he got his pants halfway down to the floor. He fine. He driving this. What do you want? You want your children to see this guy? Your children shouldn't want to see your dude's underwear. Why would you want your child to see a guy walking by with his underwear hanging out? Come on now. Come on. And that's
For
the
real.
thing. You worried about where he driving and how fine he is.
Mhm.
When you got kids, come on. Let's think like a mom. Let's think like an adult. Let's move forward, pass the pants down in the car. He's in his car and his underwear showing. So what's so attractive about him being in his car?
Yeah.
That's not your car. Stop worrying about what other people have. Stop shopping
Right.
for the wrong things. You
Right.
have to think on another level. That be the problem. And then what's gonna happen? Because he's fine and he got a nice car. We
Mm-hmm.
about to jump in the sack. Hey, we jumping in the sack now. Guess what? You got another baby
Right.
because you're
Right.
not thinking. You're
Right.
thinking the wrong way. You're
You think your
not
uterus gonna
thinking.
shut off because you have sex? Like you think your ovaries gonna just shut down?
And that you just gotta think. Like we gotta teach
Yeah.
these
We
ladies
have
to think.
we have
It's more to life. It's more to
yes.
life. You
Mm-hmm.
got babies, maybe one, two, three, and you still a single parent. Let's reroute. Let's
Right.
figure some stuff out. Let's do things different. There's nothing wrong with rerouting and doing things different. You
Right.
know, people be like, well, I'm this age. So it's never too late.
It's never too late.
We got to do the right
Never
thing
too
by our
late.
children. That way you can't continue to raise a child in disarray. Children will grow up damaged.
Mm-hmm.
Damaged because of you. This is what you
Mm-hmm.
showed them. This is what you taught them.
Right.
At least you can say at the end of the day,
Mm.
I did the best I can.
Right.
That's what you want them that's at the end of the day, you want to be like, I did the best I can. When you
Right.
constantly putting people in your children's life that don't care for them, they're just there for you, you're
Mm.
going to keep getting the
Oh my
same result. You
gosh.
got to stop worrying about yourself and worry
Wow.
about like, oh, I don't like his teeth this or he looked like this. Of course,
Oh
don't
my
nobody
God.
want no horrible person. But at the end of the day, somebody there that cares for you and your children,
Mm.
love you, provide, help you emotionally, physically.
Mm.
You worried about the wrong things. And
Right.
that's what's wrong with a lot of people. They're worried about the wrong things and
Mm.
they wind up in the wrong spot all the time. And
Wow.
you're never going to get out of that spot until you have a different frame of mind. You got to think
Mm.
different. You got to want better. You got to want to be different. You got to want more. I'm
Yeah.
still and I'm speaking for myself too.
Right.
So I'm no different than anybody. There
Mm.
are some things that I wish I hadn't done, but we're not gonna keep going backwards because I can't get forward if I keep going back there.
Mm.
I'm going to look forward. There are some differences that's going to happen, and I'm gonna make it happen because I'm gonna put it in the universe. Whatever you want, you ask for it.
Mm.
You ask for it, and when you get it, you better be ready for it. When you get it,
Ooh.
you better be ready for
That is like so true. And that's why I
it.
believe the Bible tells us that we should be, that it's our job to really to teach the younger woman, because some of them we don't realize even in dating that you have to date for not just only for yourself, because whoever this person is, they're going to be in a household with you. Everything that you do has to reflect your children's life also.
That's
Everything
right.
you do has to reflect their children's life. So you can't be dating Mr. Thug Mug, who out here, running the streets off. You don't want that kind of person in your life, in your home as your husband.
You don't. You
He's not
don't
in a position to lead you. You know what I'm saying? He's not
at
even going to
all.
want to lead. And there are some men, no matter how young or old, because some of we are older women and that are single. There are some men that are mature that God has specifically set to the side, but you can't see them because you're in a different headspace. Everything is
Right.
about perception. When you work
Right.
on yourself and you work on your personal development to become a different person, you will be more exposed to those type of men when you do the internal work. But the reason why we don't see, or some people don't really see, because they haven't done the internal work to get the exposure. Because guess what? Those type of men look for a certain type of woman. And there are
Yeah.
some guys that will
Yeah.
date you with kids. We'll date you with stretch marks. We'll date you with kids
Okay.
and won't and
Because
suck
we all
and
got
kiss
them.
everything else on
We
them
all
same
got them.
stretch marks and won't mind that at all. You just got to
Hmm.
be in a different headspace. You have to be able to bring something to the table besides your body and your
That's
cute.
it.
You got to be
Oh,
able
I'm
to bring,
cute.
because they're
I got my
looking,
baby hair. My baby hair. Got my. It's you. Can I get something else, please?
because you got to get out that bed eventually. Out the bed. Eventually you got to get out that bed.
That's not going that may not work all the time, because just like
Right.
you give it to him, somebody else can give it to him, and somebody else can you can get it from anywhere. What makes yours so
Mhm.
special?
Right. You have to do the work to
Yeah.
understand who you are so
Mm-hmm.
that you can attract what you deserve.
Right.
Because you're going to always have people that are going to be attracted to you for different reasons, because you got a big butt, big boobs, because you light skin, or because you got beautiful hair, long curly hair, long blonde hair, whatever. You're going to always have people that are attracted to you. You
Mm-hmm.
can't help you can't help who you attract, but you can help who you entertain.
Yeah.
you know
That's
and so
that's
you
it.
have to do the work. You have to do the work to say, okay, do I want to entertain? Do I want to allow my time? We've got to see ourselves as more valuable than just
Yes.
somebody that just have babies. There's so much more to us. There's so much more. Having babies is just a part of it. We got to see ourselves as being so much worth, so much more you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I'm not saying you got to walk around being masculine and being
Right.
this and that, but know who you are. I find out who God created you to be. Find out God has already established a value. So you
Right.
don't have to look to people to determine your value, because God has already placed a value on you.
That's
He's
right.
he's paid the highest price for all of us,
That's
you know.
right.
And so I think we've got to get to that point where, yeah, we just have to be more valuable and be able
Mm-hmm.
to and I'm telling you, we can go on and on and on and
On and
on.
on
Oh my
and
God.
on and
This
on.
is but I'm really, really hoping that you can join us on the third Fridays with other ladies that we're going to have. I'm building a team for third Fridays where we're going to have discussions like this, because each of us brings something unique.
Mm-hmm.
You said
Mm-hmm.
something important tonight about your tools. You bring there's certain tools that everybody might be like, oh yeah, 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 I didn't think about that, but it was something you remember. you know
Yeah.
Something that each of us have something that we can contribute to the next generation. So I am looking forward to having you with us on third
Let
Fridays.
me add something real quick before we
Definitely.
go.
Okay.
I, Another really good tool for people, and you're never too old to do it, is to start journaling.
Oh yes, yes,
Start
yes,
journaling. You
yes.
know that, because a lot of times people get on Facebook and they throw a rant out. They
Mm,
want to do this. They want to do this. They
mm,
want to say this. Get you a book. Start journaling. That helps a lot. And it
yes,
helps with our young children. It helps
yes.
them with their reading comprehension, and because it keeps them writing, and keeps them writing. A
Mhm.
lot of our children, like, and I'm guilty. Don't ask me to read no book. I don't, it's not my judge. But for the ones that are needing to, because you're still in school, you still have to
Right.
do things. Start journaling. This is for a parent. This is for a child. You build your relationship. Write in your books. Write how you feel in your books. That will help you. If you can't tell nobody, you can write it down. That
Mhm.
is major.
I'm glad you said that, because I don't know if you guys paid attention in my commercial. I created a planner and prayer journal 2023. So it has everything from where you can journal your thoughts and start your day with God, because a lot of times we got stuff going through our head. We need to get some of that stuff out of our head.
Pressure bust
Stop
pipes.
using our head as a file cabinet. So make
Mm-hmm.
sure that you actually go to womanofproverbscoaching.com and get my planner. It's 80 pages long. It's 80 pages long, and it gives you the opportunity to journal. Like Rita said, some of us need to get that out, get some of the poison out, get some of the frustration out. So make sure you go to womanofproverbscoaching.com to get my journal. Thank you so much, Rita, for joining us tonight. This was amazing. Oh
Thank
my
you
God.
for having me. It was beautiful. I had a great time.
Yes. Yes, I am so excited that we got a chance to reconnect. We go way back. Rita and I have known each other since high school. That just tell you how young we are, how young we are.
COHS.
Yes, yes, yes. Frat sisters.
Yes. E-5-O.
What?
They don't
Okay.
know nothing about. They don't
They
know
don't know
nothing
nothing
about
about that.
E-5-O.
We thought
We
we was doing something back there. You couldn't tell us nothing. We thought
do
we was
not play with E-5-O.
Wow, I'm telling you. Oh my
Precious.
gosh. I want to take some time to also acknowledge Bridget. Bridget says she sounds just like me. She also said she'll bring it to you too, talking about dropping the food off. She said also she liked everything that you said. Thank you so much, Bridget.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mariah Thukar says hello, Nadir. Hi, says hello, Nadir. How are you? And Kendra said true, true, and she sends hearts. Thank you so much. Fatima, I'm sorry. It says you said tag you in your next conversation. Definitely. I'm so sorry. We just got the going. We was in the flow, but you
We
are
was
always
gone.
welcome to still join us in the conversation in the comments, and we'll be happy to engage with you even after the broadcast. And if you are a woman that have a story, you have something in your life that you would like to share here on the Sisterhood Check-in broadcast, make sure you send me an inbox at the @handle Woman of Prov, WOMANOFPROV, and let me be able to hear your story so that you can share your story with somebody else that may be watching that could benefit from your testimony. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out womanofproverbscoaching.com for that journal. And we will see you Sunday with Dinner with the Coaches with my guest, Charmaine. She is an herbal path. Charmaine's going to be with us with Thomas and I. We look forward to seeing you at 7 p.m. Thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing night.
Bring it on hometown. Gotta go big time. Bring it on hometown.
I did a broadcast a couple of months ago, and I was saying how if you don't operate in your season, you're useless. So, and I gave the example of the fig tree, right? And I said that how Jesus cursed the fig tree because it was time. IBG Careers is looking for customer service representatives needed to service their customers from home. If you're interested, please apply at www.
I've done some terrible things in my life,
Some of them I chose to do,
and I own these choices.
but others, I just feel like I was swept up in a series of circumstances that didn't involve my will.
They just sort of happened to me.
I've become the culmination of those choices and circumstances.
So I guess I just need to say it.
I really need some help.
Hi, I'm Nadira Lewis, author, life, and business coach, and founder of the Becoming a Woman of Proverbs Wisdom Academy. I help women take their life experiences and turn them into life lessons. I also believe that just like hurt people, transform people can transform people too. Make sure you book a call with me at www.womanofproverbscoaching.com, and I'll see you on the other side of victory.